podcast where we take a real-life humorous look at life in Lincolnshire, as well as interview some amazing people who are doing some fantastic things in the county. I'm Lizzie.
I'm Donny.
And I'm Hannah.
Hello and welcome to episode 17 of the Lincolnshire Buzzcast with me, Lizzie.
And me, Hannah.
We have some fantastic things in store for you today. This is very much in my comfort zone today because we had an interview with Craig Benson, who is part of my drama group, to talk about the fact that we are putting our next play on for free. So this was quite a nice interview for me because I knew all about it before we started the interview.
Yeah, we were just like chatting with your mate.
It was, yeah. Basically, I wondered why you were there half the time.
I know, yeah. No, it's a very, very interesting interview. Well, it wasn't really an interview. It's genuinely just a chat, isn't it? Like, it was a very easy chat.
Yeah, and it's nice, I think, to have something a little bit different. We do obviously talk a lot about sport in this because, you know, we're from that world of sport and things like and physical activity and that kind of thing comes up all the time. So it was nice to come from wellbeing from a different angle that's not physical activity, that actually spoke more about the arts, which as listeners to this podcast will know is something I'm quite passionate about. It's not like I don't talk about it enough, is it? They'll be falling off their chair. Is she? She's never mentioned it.
Yeah, buckle in, listeners. She's going to be ranting about the curriculum again.
But before we get to Craig, let's update on our stuff. How are things been for you, Hannah?
They're not doing too bad, thank you very much, Elizabeth. Yeah, I've not really done too much. It's been very manic, hasn't it, for start of year and things like that. So I've not really done too much in the way of extravagant stuff that I've got anything to talk about.
Well, I have a little bit. Obviously, last time we spoke about Planet Super League and that starting, so we did kick off last week, playing our first fixture against Rotherham, sort of mirroring the Imps actually on that one because they had that Rotherham fixture on the Tuesday night, of which we drew with Rotherham, but on Planet Super League we won. So we actually did beat them. I think last time we scored 10 goals. I think it was about 10-0 or something like that. I think we absolutely. I mean, how wonderful if the other scoreline would have mirrored that one. But this week we are playing Chelsea, so things are going to be a little bit more difficult because Chelsea, being a Premier League club, have a huge following, so we need to up our environmental game here, Story.
Yeah, well, I took part in quite a few of the tasks because I thought, I'm going to go on, because you'd mentioned that there were some for adults because I don't have children, and you were saying, there's definitely some on there for adults, so I did actually do quite a few of them. Dead simple things like repurposing a plastic bottle and things like that. So yeah, I had to go. I scored a few goals for us. Woohoo!
Thanks very much, Hannah. You can get to us saying that you can get involved in this as a group as well. So we do have some of our local schools that are taking on the challenge, and they've signed themselves up as a team. So they are joining in that way as well. But any group can, any local school, scout group, all that kind of stuff. You know, join in and start scoring some goals. Because we're really going to need the help this week.
Yeah, we definitely are. I mean, we're only little, aren't we, Lincoln, compared to
London.
Compared to the whole of London. We're not the whole of London. The whole of London does not support Chelsea.
I hope not. But we're in a group with Tottenham as well, so we do have the other part of London.
Oh, right. So we've got the other half of London as well. Awesome, great. Arsenal in there too.
Those are our two Premier League clubs. So we have Chelsea and we have Tottenham and Stoke. Is Stoke Premier League still? Have they dropped down? I can't remember where they are in the world. Stoke are in there as well, though. So yeah, this is. I think Tottenham's going to be our biggest challenge because looking at their last league fixture last week, they scored 53 goals.
Wow!
So we do need to up our game when we play those. But Chelsea's a good kick-off from that. So come on, guys, let's all get together. You can sign up at planetsuperleague.com. and sign yourself up and just start, eat your veggie meal, take a picture. Easy as that. Send it in. Goal. Yeah. Done. Bang. In the bag.
You've sold it to me. I'm going to do it again this week.
So yeah, so that's Planet Super League. I'm very impressed that we won our first game though. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
It's given me a little bit of a spur on to do some more as well. So I'm quite excited about it. So if you did play for us last week, thank you so much, and keep it going because we won the trophy.
Yay! Yay!
Speaking of match day, we've had some great matches for the Imps as well recently. I work the fan zone, so if you do come and watch the game, then do come say hello to Lincoln City Foundation in the fan zone. We do have some fantastic stuff going on with like the target shooter and that kind of thing, and it's just nice. It's nice being back to like big events like that. They can be scary, and have been quite scary on the first few ones, but it feels safer now. It just feels better in that kind of way. So it is nice being around that kind of, being around that wonderful environment that you have in the stadium. It was pretty much sold out for the Ipswich game, and their fans are loud and noisy and brought the support in their droves. But it was just nice to soak up that atmosphere and be around everyone sort of enjoying that sport again. So yeah, have you done anything sort of big event wise since we've been back? Restrictions?
Yeah, well, I went to a wedding a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not going to lie, a bit apprehensive about being in a closed space with lots and lots of people, but once you get into the swing of it, it is so nice to have that bit of normality back. Like, I did really enjoy it afterwards, and we were all at dance floor and it was like, this is brilliant. And I've been out for a couple of meals and stuff like that in restaurants and things, and yeah, I'm getting back into it now. There's sometimes when I still feel a bit like, you're in my personal space, but I think it'll come with time, won't it? We've had pretty much 2 years now. I've been told to not go near another human being, and then to just be thrust back into the world of touching, feeling, and everything else. It's just a bit weird.
Oh, it is weird, and actually, I think it's quite weird how easy in a way it's been. I thought it would be really hard to adapt back to, and it was initially. But I think doing more of it has helped. But it's not the same for everyone else. It's worth noting out. One of our members of our senior leadership team said this wonderful quote, wasn't it? That we're all in the same storm, but in different boats. And for some people, their boat is telling them not to. They've got a different journey. They might have someone vulnerable at home. They might be vulnerable themselves, and actually that world is still a scary space. They might still be wearing their masks in a shop. They might be doing all that kind of thing, and that's okay because they have to do what's right for them, and other people have to do what's right for them as well. As long as everyone's being safe, then that's okay. So it's a different world. But I think it feels a little bit more like it's the world that we left.
Yes.
More so
we're getting back to it now. Yeah. Although I'm not coping very well with the whole integration back into the world. I've made a couple of little errors, let's say, and this will give the listeners a little bit of a hoot, I hope. That like. I'm not sure now. When you go into a shop, are you allowed to try things on? Are you not allowed to try things on? And so there's all these unanswered questions that make you quite anxious. Like, oh my God, I want to buy a t-shirt, but I don't know what size to get. And I can try it on, but I can't try it on. And then I'm holding it against myself. So the other day, I went to buy my other half a t-shirt. I took a photo of it, sent it to him, and he was like, yes, oh my, buy that for me. I definitely want it. So I thought, oh my word, what size do I buy him? So I'm like, well, I can't try it on. He's not here to try it on. So I put my arms around the t-shirt to work out if it was like his huggable size. I looked like an absolute lunatic in the shop, just hugging a t-shirt on a hanger, because I was like, is it of a right sort of, if I filled this out, would it be the right? So that was the way that I measured. So yeah, looked like a lunatic. And then I also came out of the supermarket on the same day. So if anybody was following me or stalking me on this day, they must think, wow, she's a weirdo. Came out of the supermarket. I'm like looking at my phone, trying to get my keys out of my bag, all the stuff that you would normally do coming out of the supermarket. And I clicked the button on my key to open my car, pulled the car door. The door wouldn't open. I was like, oh my God, no, don't tell me that my batteries have gone in my key. Jesus. So press the button again. Nothing's happening. I'm thinking, no, I'll have to use the key to unlock it. Pulled the door. And then I looked in the car and I was like, that's not my car. I was stood at someone else's car trying to unlock it. So I think that's enough of the integration back into the world for me. I think I just need to take a step back.
Did they see you, or did you manage to get out there before the actual owner of the car came back and into why you were trying to break in?
Yeah, I've got no idea. I just sort of slowly and sheepishly was like, reverse, get out of this situation. And 2 cars up, lo and behold, there's my car unlocked.
Just sat there flashing behind you as you're pressing the thing going, I'm here.
Yeah. So I need to slow down on the whole integration back into society thing. It's just getting a bit much for me and I'm making a lot of mistakes.
Well, we've all got to learn. But
it's like relearning how to be an adult.
Thanks for sharing. I'm sure you made someone else feel better.
Yeah.
Your misery.
And if there was anyone out there who actually saw me trying to get into this car and it was your car, I apologise.
Well, I think it's a good time as well to sort of inform our listeners about some changes that are coming up on this podcast a little bit, which is we're quite excited about. So you'll notice that there is a certain member of this podcast team that is in the intro every week. His face is on there, but you've yet to hear the sultry tones of his voice for quite some time, and that is Danny. We do miss Danny very much, but Danny has he's still working at Lincoln City Foundation, but he's moved into a different role, and he's finding it hard to find the time to carry this on. So he has admitted defeat, potentially temporarily, but admitted defeat nonetheless, and has given his blessing for us to replace him, which sounds awful, actually.
I know, let's rephrase that a little bit better.
He's given us his blessing to find a younger model. He's given us his blessing to find someone to fill his boots.
Yes, that sounds better.
So, fingers crossed, by the next episode we should have someone new in place when we welcome. I won't reveal him yet because I think we'll announce him on the episode.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But we're all going to have our little sections that we specialise in, aren't we?
Yeah, so we thought we might get a bit professional about things. It's about time. What are we, episode 17? So I thought we might step up the professionalism here and bring some features that you listeners can be looking forward to coming every week. And things that you can also get involved in as well. So there'll be a new intro and all that kinds of stuff for you next week, where we delve into our new revitalised version of the Lincolnshire Buzzcast. Are you excited, Hannah?
I'm very excited. It does mean I've got to do lots more research and be a lot more professional, but I'm dead excited.
I know, we've made more work for ourselves because I don't know if you've noticed, but we don't tend to come very prepared. Just chat.
We just talk.
Just chat and hope that you enjoy listening to us. But we thought we should step it up again now, so we do have to come with certain aspects. So I don't want to tell you anymore because I don't want to spoil it. I just want to leave you there tantalised with the delicious promise of something new and exciting in the next fortnight. So watch this space. So before I give any more away, shall we jump into our interview with Craig?
Yes, let's do it.
So, because I didn't do this in the interview, Craig's from Broughton Amateur Dramatics, which is a drama group that's based in Broughton in North Lincolnshire, one that I also attend myself. They have an up-and-coming production of Haggard, which is a fantastic play, and we talk about that a little bit more in the interview. But they have decided to put their play on for free, which is in November, to anyone who's been before or anyone who's never been before. So it's open to anyone to come down and enjoy. So we thought we'd catch up with Craig to find a little bit more into why. Enjoy. So, without further ado, welcome Craig to the Lincolnshire Buzzcast. Why?
What a start. What a lovely question. And hello, Lizzie. Yeah, so everybody's been through, obviously, this lockdown. We've been wanting to put this play on now for the last 18 months, and we've tried 3 times. and failed, unfortunately. And we felt as a group it was an ideal opportunity to be able to give something back to the community and draw the community in. It's a really small village, but we have a loyal set of fans, and we just want to spread our wings that little bit further to offer it to other people who've maybe thought about coming to see us and haven't made that effort. And we just felt it was a brilliant opportunity for us as a group to say thank you very much to all our existing supporters and to any new supporters out there to come and see us. And the play we're putting on is an absolutely rip-roaring comedy, and it's a fantastic play for people to come and watch. I want to give a big shout out to the Village Hall, because they've agreed not to charge us as well, for the hire of the Village Hall, as a thank you for us as a group to come back and actually perform in the Village Hall. But again, that same community spirit. They want people to come. They would rather see 100 people, or 120, I think we've got seats for each night, just absolutely packed out and everybody having a good time. There's free coffee and biscuits and tea, or if you prefer tea. Unfortunately, nothing alcoholic, just by the rules. But, there's pubs in the village. You can always have them afterwards and talk about the play. So we do try and feed and water you when you come. There will be a raffle there. And if you want to make a donation to the group, then you're more than welcome. But the key thing is that it is free. We want people to come and get that community spirit back up that we've all been missing now for the last 18 months.
Great answer. I don't have to correct you on anything there, Craig.
I remember me.
So backtracking a little bit, because we wanted to get that as the first question, because this is something that's not really been done before. Amateur dramatic shows are quite expensive to put on, because we have to pay things like the play licence, the hire of things, costumes, flyers, posters, all that kind of thing. So the reason that mainly that people charge to watch Am Drum Theory is because the group have to recuperate those costs, not just for the performance, but also then it helps the group sustain run for the other costs that they have in terms of their rehearsal room and all that kind of thing. So that is usually the reason that plays are charged for. But there is someone else that has given us a bunch of money for this as well, to make this possible, as well as the Village Hall, isn't it, Craig?
Yeah, that is very true. With one of our other actors, Kieran Savage, his company Card Industry, now I'm going to say Payments.
I feel like it's professionals.
Professionals. It is Card Industry Professionals. Definitely. Yes, they've agreed to donate £500 to the group to cover the cost of the hire of the costumes, which is, really important, because this play, as I say, it's set around the 17th, 18th century. And so what makes it and sell it and adds to that enjoyment is if the costumes obviously reflect that. And rather than us cobbling up a few little shirts and other bits and pieces, it's much better if you're in the right attire, for some of them anyway. So without that support of benefactors like, as I say, Kieran and his company and others who sponsor the programme, when we develop that as well, we wouldn't be able to put obviously performances on. And as Lizzie said, there is a large cost in there, for the licenses that we have to buy, to perform these plays. Obviously the rights go back to the writers, which is what should happen, but we've got to pay for the hire of the Village Hall, and then the ongoing upkeep of our rehearsal barn, which, as I say, it's not a cheap thing, and we're not in here to make well, exactly, yeah, and it's not that we're trying to make large amounts of profits, because we don't. Everything we make on top of our outgoings gets reinvested back into our productions. So that might be new furniture that we need, it might be new costumes and clothing that we have at the barn, it might be new equipment, whether that's lighting or sound or more wood to be able to build the sets. There's all those things that we as a group try and bring together to obviously make sure that when you're coming to watch the show, you look at the set and you think, wow, that looks fantastic. I can't believe it's just a Village Hall blank stage. We do transform things, and we take pride in that.
Absolutely, and I guess charitableness isn't new to our group either, is it? Because we are a registered charity, so we have done things like this before, just not to this degree. Giving away free tickets to. I can't remember who, Craig.
Well, we have the old people within the old pensioners within Broughton. We're trying to get away from all pensioners, but the older gentry and females, ladies and females of the village, we do donate free tickets to those. We also select a charity, and we donate some of our profits that we make on the night to that charity as well. So, and we try and arrange that around the play that we do. We did a play a couple of, well, it seems like 3 or 4 years ago now, but it was only a couple of years ago, called Two. And part of that, it focused on abuse and abuse within a marriage, female male abuse. And so that was a charity that we gave money to from our play to do that, to help these women who are having to leave their homes and set up somewhere completely new. So we do look for that and try and find that link within the play we do to say, well, this will be a good charity to actually fund. This one, as Lizzie has said, we're actually giving it free completely, and that just helps with our charity status, why the group was, set up, back in 1949, when me and Lizzie were not even a twinkle back then in our mums and dad's eyes, but there we go, and it's something that we pride on. We've done loads and loads of plays, and it's great to actually come back and perform in the village, and it brings that more community spirit, and it's more affordable. We would love to go back, and probably tour and take it round to other villages, our plays. I think that would be really, really good. And it's just for those people out there who are listening, those village hall chairmen, committee members, even the Plowright Theatre in Scunthorpe, reduce your prices, get more people in, because performing is fantastic. It really is. I wish I've only joined in the last sort of 12 years, so I'm a newbie really. I wish I'd done this when I was Lizzie's age. A lot younger. The enjoyment you get.
So young. Thank you, Craig.
I know, yeah. You can't see the pictures. You can't see it. But yeah, this is what it's all about. It's that enjoyment. It's something different, and it really is good for that spirit of everybody who's part of the group. And I would get anybody who's interested, who wants to think that they might enjoy acting or building sets or painting or whatever it may well be, just come and open the door. We're a friendly bunch. Come and have a look, come and have a try. Don't do it like I did and have a few pints in the pub and think, oh, I reckon I can do that. That'll be easy. Because somebody hears you, and then, I'm not one to then back down then. And I think, oh, dear. And then, I'm glad I did. I'm glad I went in,
Amazing. Good to hear.
Well, I've got a question for you, Craig. You alluded to it a little bit there in the last thing that you said, in terms of all the different things that come together to make a production happen.
Yeah.
So what's your favourite? I mean, I know obviously you are an actor and you act in it. Is the acting your favourite part, or is it the, planning the stage, planning the outfits? What part of the production is your favourite part?
Well, I don't. For Lizzie, probably it won't seem strange, but to other people out there, it might do. But I love the rehearsing. Rehearsing is probably the funniest part of putting on any play, And the acting it sort of leads into, and just watching other people perform and seeing how the characters evolve, and the actual fun you get, because things don't get put out on stage. It's the end thing you see looks brilliant. To get there, it is such a scream. It really is. As I say, sometimes you're just in tears. You can't even speak, and it's over silly things. But that's what it's all about. It's that enjoyment that all of us get. So yeah, the acting side, definitely. I'm not a set builder. I'm useless. I can't build anything. I'm a good holder. That's what I do. I usually hold things. As long as I have my hand away quick enough when somebody's there nailing something up or painting, I'm okay with that. That's why I'll lift them. I can lift things. I can, sketch a little set design sometimes, maybe, just to try and understand how things, what are the layouts. But we all do different things. All of us are part of our group. All of us act. All of us can help with the set building. We all take that part. And that's what it's all about. Everybody doing their own little bits. Some are better than others at certain things, and we let them carry on. See the lads with the drills coming in. Yep. Give me a drill and I'm there. Just everywhere's got holes in. I get carried away. So yeah, they make sure I'm not left with a drill.
That was me thinking, Craig, as treasurer of the group, you were going to say spreadsheets were your favourite part of the process.
No.
I'm so surprised.
No, we see far too many of them at work, so no, get out of the way. But no, there's that many different roles, as you said, Anna, that is part of that. There's the directing side. Some people like that. We've got one really, really experienced director who's been with us for many years, Carol Bowness, and, as I say, she is fantastic. How she can interpret and see things in her brain, to be able to tell you as an actor what you should be doing, and you think, why am I doing that? And then it just suddenly clicks and you realise, some people can just do that. Nick Grafton, another one, my old school teacher, this is how bad it is.
School teacher.
Yeah. But mine's a little bit earlier. 1977 was when I first met Nick. So to actually be there on the stage with him, and there are some wonderful, wonderful people there. But we've all got those skills. And as I say, really good directors. And that is one of the key things that we need. As the group, you need those directors. We need the youngsters coming through, which I look at our group and think we're getting a bit top heavy. I'd love to play a younger person, but unfortunately the grey hairs and the hairs disappear, and I can't anymore. So we need that influx, and are we crying out for membership? We'd love to. We'd love to get more youngsters coming through, so we can again put on and produce a bigger variety, really, of plays, rather than sticking to, I suppose, and as you'll notice, the genre that I like. I want farces and slapsticks. That's it. To me, people want to come and be entertained and have a good laugh. So, more the better.
Yeah, I think it's one of Lizzie's pet hates, isn't it? How much performing arts doesn't get the praise in the national curriculum, and that it's the first thing to go off the national curriculum if they don't have the time, or exams are cancelled, but we've still got to do English and maths. But the drama, dance, and performing arts and all that jazz with the jazz hands, that's the first thing to get dropped. But it is really, really important to people to have those things on the national curriculum. I mean, I'm coming at it from a teaching point of view because I think it is really important for the transferable skills that you get, the communication skills that you get, the confidence to be able to talk to a large group of people. We all need these skills in real life. Never mind, if you're reading a play or whatever, you actually do need these skills. And how important is it for you from a drama side? How important is performing arts, do you think, on the younger?
I think as you're saying, I agree. I think it's really, really key. When I was going through school, I was not academically gifted. Sport was my sort of like genre. I could run, jump, play football, do whatever. But that was always a secondary element, just as acting was. And when we did drama at school, as I've mentioned before, with Nick being my old teacher. But when it came to your choices, it was, have you got the confidence to actually go do that? It was that, it was seen to be like a lesser qualification, and it shouldn't be, for all those skills and nurturing and development that are really important. I came into acting later, and it was only through my role, my current job that I'm in now, where I do stand up in front of people, I do deliver, talks and presentations on various things, that just gives you the confidence to actually say, well, I can actually do that. And, I am, you probably wouldn't have guessed, but I am a very shy person, very introverted. And you think, no way, but I am. You drop me in a room full of strangers and I'll just sit there and will not speak. It's odd, unless somebody comes to me, I'm very quiet, very reserved. But in people, this is what drama brings out of you. It enables you to suddenly take on that persona of somebody different. And it's and I think it's really good for kids to be saying, well, I might not be able to do multiple equations or simultaneous equations or whatever they do now, algebra. I'm not interested in that. But actually standing up and performing, I would have loved to have actually done that when I was at school. You had that confidence to say, come on, you can do it. Nick giving me a kick at the backside and say, come on, you ought to be doing this because you've got that aptitude for it. And I think, as you say, the skills that kids learn, because it's not just the acting and standing up, it's planning, it's writing scripts. It develops all those skills which they might not be able to do, in a normal English class, for example, but they can picture things and actually write scripts out and see things happening. So
absolutely.
Definitely.
Listeners of this podcast will be used to me being on my soapbox on high horse about this, frequently do. But the one of the things as well is as a charity, Broughton Dramatic Society have that in the ethos about not just helping their members get this element, their arts support and things like that, but it's also the audience. So our audience and the reason why it's beneficial and why we want to put the play on for free as well is the fact that after this horrific year of COVID and all that kind of stuff where things have been so awful, the simple act of coming to a theatre to watch a play is quite cathartic for the audience member to sit there and laugh with other people laughing at the same thing. So we want to give that sense of euphoria, to actually that element of escapism, to enjoy the art together and actually enjoy something different, to get away from the TV screen for the night and get away from other things they might do and just sit and watch something different. Because there's a lot of people that look at Amdram and think they're going to be sat and we're going to subject them to watch Shakespeare for the evening or something like that. It's just not. It's not the case. It's actually really funny.
Yeah.
Some of the. I mean, it's a good indication of a play of how funny it is how long the actors are laughing in rehearsals for. Because after a while, when you've done the same joke over again, it's not funny to you anymore until you put it on stage and other people are laughing and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot this bit was funny. And then they find bits that actually you didn't think were funny in rehearsal, but they like absolutely killing themselves at that, and you think, oh, I didn't know that was funny, but okay. And it's all that sort of surprising thing that's really good, but like it's a good indication of how funny it is. And this play is, my character for instance is called Fanny. There's a lot of jokes about that. in this. It's a normal name. Lots of people have called it, but there's a lot of that related jokes in this play. Craig, your character is sort of like how would we describe him?
Is really attractive.
That is not how we would describe him.
Clean. No, it's called grunge. So I think that sort of gives you an impression straight away of the type of character grunge is a downtrodden servant, unfortunately.
It reminds me a bit of Baldric kind of vibe.
I suppose he is in some respect. Yeah. He's got a master who obviously uses him to do all sorts of dirty little tricks. Not trying to give too much away from the play. But as I say, it's really funny. The scapes that they get into, and he's a really good character to get your teeth into. And as I say, it's something which I love because it is slapstick. It is, a complete farce. And just one thing, just to get over. I'm probably like lots of men out there who thought I would never ever act. This is not for me. It's all a lot of Damby-pambies running on the stage. It's crackers. It's not. I've played football all my life. I love it. But when I first went on that stage and you get your first laugh, the buzz you get is totally unbelievable. That you're making people laugh. And it's just like any performer. It doesn't matter whether you're a professional performer or an amateur like we are. That buzz is still the same. And when you get an audience, everybody all laughing at the same time, as I said, there is no other feeling better than that. It is, you could die for it. And by the third night, our final night, you just want it to go on and on and on. It's a shame that it's finished. And
you play for the laughs more, as I recall. Any jokes that aren't in there, Craig will immediately throw himself to the floor and fall over if he thinks people will laugh about it. Like being on stage with Craig is tricky because he'll find an area where I think, someone will laugh at this, and then he'll just do it. And then you're like, what are they laughing at? And it's because he's fallen over behind you.
A bit of improvisation. That's what everybody loves.
Keeps you on your toes, don't you, Craig?
Well, that's it. Get my lines, and just carry on, and but it is, and this is the thing. We, at the end of the day, we are amateur. We are going to make mistakes, and again, that makes it funny for the audience who are watching. Because we're not perfect. If I was perfect, I'd be on the West End. Of course I would. I'm not. But we enjoy it. We still get that, as I say, that same enjoyment. And yes, we will take a few liberties. Some are better than others. You know, there are other people in the group who are a lot better than me at ad-libbing. You know, I'm really rigid. My problem is I know my lines as quick as I can because I feel like I want to make sure
he's right geek, Hannah. He knows his lines before anyone else.
Really?
It's just don't want to let anybody down. I feel that I'm not as good acting as the rest of the group, so I need to learn my lines so then I can concentrate on then acting and portraying it. And that's just in my head what I need to do. But the problem is I sometimes mouth everybody else's lines as well, which isn't very good when you're talking to you, you know, and you think, I've got to stop doing that, you know, and it's, you know, so over time I've got better, you know, so that'll be something for everybody who comes to watch the play, just see if my mouth's moving when somebody's talking to me. And if it is, you know, I'm just reading their lines as well, you know.
On the subject of things that have gone wrong on stage, I'd like to know what your most funniest one is, and I'll give you time to think about it while I give you a brief foray of my recent memory one. And this is one that happened with Craig, actually. So we were in a play called When Did You Last See Your Trousers, which me and Craig played the leading lady and gentleman for, actually. And on this stage, and this happens a lot of Amdrams have a lot of door story related error stories to tell because sets fail mid-performance all the time. And one of our colleagues had made a dramatic exit and left, but he'd kicked something out of the door by accident, which meant the door had moved and thus forth wouldn't open. And there was an awful lot of us on stage, and all of us had to, and it was a scene where it was right near the end and everyone had to one by one exit the stage for some whatever reason, and we were all busy acting away. Unbeknownst to us, but beknownst to the audience, is every single cast member, when they went to go leave after their bit or whatever they've said and storm out or whatever, went to try the front door where their character was meant to leave by, really try it, hang off it, realise it wouldn't open, and then have to exit via what was the bathroom for no reason at all. So like 2 or 3 people had done this, it all happened, but for the audience it got funnier every time because they saw the character about to be like, and I'm gonna go, and then they knew what was coming, and then they would turn around, discover the door was not shut, and then have to leave from the bathroom. And we as actors, because I think me and Craig were the last one, were thinking, as if I'm laughing about this scene isn't funny, like what's going on? And they're absolutely losing it. Like my mum was in the audience that night and she went, oh, it was just so funny because we just knew that any moment now one of you else is going to have to turn around and it was going to happen again. And it wasn't until I think I went to go leave as well to do it, which was odd actually because it was my apartment in the thing, and I went to go do it, and I went to open it, I thought, and then suddenly it clicked. I was like, oh god, this is what everyone's laughing at. Like, how am I going to style this out? Audience, like I think the cast left for 2 different means. Some people left by the bathroom, some people left by the window. Like it was just odd. We just had to find ways to leave the stage because the door was like fixed, and behind that, like there was a set team desperately trying to fix it, so you could sort of see it rumbling while we were trying to sort it out, while the rest of us were just blissfully unaware, acting in front of us while this ridiculous scene was unfolding. It was one of the greatest laughs we had for the night as well, which was very disconcerting. But they love it. They do love it when stuff goes wrong. So, Craig, what is your ridiculous memory of when something has gone wrong on stage?
Again, something which happened wasn't in the script, certainly wasn't improvised or anything like that. It just happened. It was when a play called Habeas Corpus, and we had Ollie. He's quite a hefty lad, you know, well built, you know, very stocky, probably about 15, 16 stone, and he was supposed to, in this little scene, to get injected up with his sleeping drug. The doctor was supposed to give it to his wife, but he missed up, and he gave it to Ollie instead. And in the tussle, Ollie fell onto this table, which was at the back of the set, and the table just collapsed under his weight. It wasn't supposed to. It was one of our old tables from the barn, absolutely collapsed. Well, the audience went absolutely bananas. So again, like Lizzie had said, we're in the back, you know, people weren't on stage thinking, what the hell's going on now? That wasn't really that funny. And we're all running to have a look. And we've seen Ollie laid flat on this table. It's all gone, legs all sprayed everywhere. Audience thinking it's fantastic. So we carried on with that part of the play, got to the interval, came out. Carol, the director, came round the back and said, that was absolutely fantastic. We're keeping that in. And we said, What do you mean we're keeping it in? She said, we're going to have to make that table so it collapses for the next 2 nights. And that's what we have to do. So we're very, very quick to pick up on things, what do go wrong and not supposed to, that actually do have a funny, so that one was slightly different to Liz's. But yeah, it was probably the main one. I remember. We've had things where people have come on and expecting to have a briefcase in their hand and realise that they've left it offset and had to run out the other door screaming, where their equipment is. We've done that. We've had plays where a couple has gone off stage and forgot that their prompt line to come back on and left the two actors on stage waiting, and then they have a discussion about what they're going to have to eat for the night. That maybe they went to get some fish and chips and there was a long queue. Just again, ad-libbing. Unfortunately, that's never happened to myself where I've been left where somebody's not appeared where they're supposed to be. Because God knows what I would do. I would probably just freeze like a rabbit in a headlight. Yet, yes. There's always a first time. Thank you very much, Hannah. Now that's it. But yeah, there's always a first time.
I've had the opposite. I've had actors that were supposed to leave but forgot. Yeah. So we've had a scene where it's been like you're supposed to be like, oh, here we are alone together, and there's other people there because they forgot to leave. So you have to have an event and they're like, oh, it would be lovely if we were alone together, but unfortunately you're still here. Do you think you have somewhere to go? And then, yes, I do. Which is just ridiculous. But yeah, I think it helps actually though once you get over this bit. Like it helps. I take this into my work. I'm much less. Hannah might just decide that this isn't true, but I like to think I'm much less stressed in my work life because drama has taught me to think on my feet fast.
Right. Yeah.
And because of this, so I've had people in, people out where there shouldn't be, props missing, that kind of stuff, and I've just had to my mantra is that the audience don't have the script in their hands. They don't know what's supposed to happen. We know how the play's supposed to end, so I can get us there and it'll be fine. But you can take that mantra into your work life as well. They didn't know what it was supposed to be, but
I didn't need to write that down.
As long as we reach the same goal at the end, it's all good.
Yeah.
As broad as it is long. You're right.
Yeah.
So I think before we move into our question that we ask all our guests, I think it would be a good thing to ask you, Craig, to tell our listeners about Haggard. So if they were thinking that actually this is quite good, I might give life a go. Why should they come see Haggard? What's it about?
Right. Okay. So as I've said, it's set in the 17th, 18th century. So we've got Haggard is a squire who's a little bit down on his fortune. Money is dwindled away to nothing. He's got a son who's not the brightest spark, brightest button, I suppose you would call him. That's Roderick. And as I say, he's got his.
Handsome.
I know, yeah, incredibly handsome, yes. And then he's got his servant Grunge, who he keeps, but obviously doesn't pay any money to because he hasn't got any. And it's really what Squire Haggard is trying to do throughout the place to try and obviously gain funds to, by whatever means, to obviously fund his lavish lifestyle that he wants to keep. So he's really pleased to hear that his son has finally found a beautiful young girl, young lady, whose father is wealthy, and she's got a dowry of £10,000. So as soon as he hears this, he thinks, right, I've got to get my son married to this lady, this young girl. This is what we want to happen. And so the play is all around Haggard trying to facilitate both Roderick and Fanny to actually get together, and get married. And that's what the play's all about. And he keeps getting scuppered in the various schemes that he undertakes. They're hilarious. And what you've got vicars, you've got death turning up. There's pirates in there. The play is, as I say, is really fantastic. It ends well. I'm not going to tell you, where he goes, but it's, as I say, it is so funny. From right from the off all the way through. You as I say, you'll just have such a really, really good time where you can just let your hair down. Don't cost you anything. You can buy a raffle ticket if you want, but we'll feed you with biscuits and a cup of tea or a coffee. And you get there, enjoy it, and then there's 2 or 3 local pubs that I'm sure would love your custom once the play's finished. And you'll have a wonderful night. So get yourself there, but don't forget you've got to book your tickets. You must book the tickets.
So we have an online booking system, which we will pop the website into the comments. You think I know it off by hand because I've made the website, but I don't want to get it wrong. It's something like BroughtonDramatics.com, but don't quote me on that. But we're asking people to pre-book their tickets because our venue does actually have a quota that people are allowed in, so we need to make sure that those who are coming can fit in, so they don't mismake the trip. So it is really important to book your free tickets first ahead of hand. Thanks for that description. I like to describe it a little bit like Bridgerton, but dialed back a little bit. So in classic Amdram world, in most farces, they do have that element of filth because that's what the people want, it would appear. So it does have that element. There are some ridiculous things that Haggard does, and that my character does, and other people, things like that, to get along. So there is that bit of a naughty element to it as well, but it's not quite as bad as Bridgerton, but it is in that kind of ilk. So if you really enjoyed Bridgerton, you'll like Haggard. So come along as well to that. So Craig, here comes our question that we ask everyone, and I did remember to ask you ahead of time as well. This question lets us know a little bit more about our guest and an insight into what makes them tick. So, Craig, who was pre-prepared for this, if you were to have a dinner party and you can invite 3 people, alive or dead, who would you invite and why?
And why? Yes, a very, very interesting question. And those who know me are probably may well be surprised that there's no sportsmen or sportswomen in my list, because that is my main passion. I've actually gone through and made a list of names, and we're crossing them off. No. And so I've actually cheated slightly. So I hope you forgive me in why I've actually got 4.
What?
Yeah, I've got 4, but hopefully you'll understand why I've got 4.
But you don't go to attend because it's a table for 4.
Well, don't worry, I'll be there. I'll be serving on to these people. So the first people is the contentious one, and it's something where I get my passion from is Laurel and Hardy. I couldn't.
You can have them as a 1.
So
yeah,
I've got them as a 1. So that was the only one I've cheated on. That would be because I just couldn't split them up. As I say,
2 for 1.
My passion for slapstick comedy, visual comedy, comes from watching them as a young kid. Back in the 70s, when I used to come home from school, they used to be on the reruns they're probably 6 o'clock on a BBC 2 as it was back then, and they used to run the shorts, and it was. I was mesmerised, certainly more so with the silent movies, the early ones that they did, because as a youngster, you didn't need to understand the words, what they were saying. It was just that visual, you could, and it's anticipating what was going to happen. And that is why I am like I am. Lizzie will probably tell you with regard acting and why I want to do farces and slapsticks. It all stems from your upbringing. There's always something that kicks that off, and they kick that involvement. To me, they are just the finest comedy actors that they've ever been.
Absolutely. Craig won't look at a play if it's not got a laugh in it.
I will try and put laughs in. This is what I'm like. I know what will improve this. And it could be something what Charles Dickens has written. Just what it needs is just this, a pie in the face, just about this minute. That's what would do it. But this, as I say, for those two to actually be able to sit down and just see that interaction between them, firsthand. It is so brilliant. The timing was fantastic. They didn't even have to say anything to make you laugh and cry. So to me, they're they're the first people on my list.
We will use that cheat because you can't separate them both.
I can't split them up. So second one. So again, really difficult, extremely difficult, trying to narrow things down.
I like how you took it seriously though and made a list took people down.
So the next one is David Attenborough, or should I call him Sir David Attenborough?
Yeah.
That's Hannah's dog's favourite.
It is, yeah.
So again, in the 70s, it's things that stick in your mind. I can remember when the Life on Earth series first started. So that was back in 1979. again, young boy, it was such an influence in me, and then my interest in natural history, all things regarding it. It just blew your mind. Nothing had been seen like that and been portrayed on television like that, and it sort of brought it home to the masses. For everybody to be able to dive in and think, God, this is fantastic. And that Christmas, my mum and dad bought me the book. Life on Earth book. Oh, and it's thumbed to high heaven. And as I say, it was just completely amazing. Seeing all that from dinosaurs to duck-billed platypuses. From giant redwoods in America down to blue whales. Yeah. You just marvel at what the wondrous, what the world can offer, and it's just, I suppose, such a shame that most people in the world take that for granted. And unfortunately, some, do try and destroy the environment now. Yeah. I sort of look at that and just think, could you imagine, that your grandchildren can only, I don't know, say, be able to see an elephant in a book or on an old film rather in real life? It must be such an awful thing. I would love to, I can't understand, or try and appreciate that animals like the dodo existed only 400 or 500 years ago. That's touching distance. God, I would love to see a real dodo. And you think, why were you clubbing them to death? What brains have you got? They don't even taste nice. But it's all these things that you learn from. And again, it's passion. That's what comes through. When you see any program David Attenborough is in, it's moving away from, obviously, his main genre, which was obviously the wildlife, etc. It's now climate change. It's getting us all ready, and this is what we should take seriously. But it's just what comes through him at 95 years old, and he's still that same. And if he talks, people listen, and there's not many people in this world who actually do that. So to him to be sat there at the table, he'd be awestruck initially, but just to be able to listen to all his stories would be fantastic. So
he would generally be a fan. I think he's on many a list. Actually, I think he's on yours, isn't he, Hannah?
Definitely,
absolutely. I think, although how he'd get on with Laurel and Hardy, I don't know. Like, he might be trying to talk about something serious with climate change and get a pie to the face. That's gonna pan out there, Greg.
You see, this is what the issues I had, because I've had many a table drawn up and many fours, and I've linked fours together, and you'll think, you said, but I have. I had, Mortimer and Paul Whitehouse, because they love fishing, and I thought them two get on really well together. I didn't know whether you could bring family back, because, one person I would love to come back would be Dad, and it would have been ideal. And so, that would have been a bit more emotional, and I thought, no, I'm not going to be crying on set. This is not what we want to be doing. But something like that would be a really good mix. Or
agreed.
Mediums, that's something else. You're looking at your Robin Williams or your Rick Mayles, those type of people who, again, Rick Mayles, slapstick, he nearly got on there, and I thought, do I go for modern? No, I've got to go from where it started. But it's just looking at all those, it's taking it seriously. It's looking what would work. But
so who's your third? Who's your third?
Again, it's a different person. Again, a comic, but somebody who's branched out into another area that I'm really into, which is archaeology. Again, history, not only.
You might be Hannah's favourite guest right now.
This could be
Tony Robinson. Sir Tony Robinson. You see?
Hannah's trying to get an invite to this dinner party.
So again, first obviously saw Tony in the late 70s, showing my age in the Blackadder's.
I love him in Blackadder. I love him so much.
And it's just, again, it's that timing. He's just such dry wit, and it's so fantastic. As my brother then started watching him, Maid Marian. You remember him there? Maid Marian and Merry Men. I wasn't supposed to watch it. I was nearly 22, but it don't matter. You have that because it was funny. And that's what it is. But then it's just as his role has then changed as he went into Time Team, and you start seeing again that passion that he had, interested in bringing it again, a subject which is probably seen to be I wouldn't want to say upper class, but it probably is. That's not us for us masses, but it brings it to the masses. It makes it more open, and he delivers it in such a way that people can understand what he's picking up. It's a tooth rather than giving it its Latin name. They can understand it's a pie. What do you mean? So this is what was fantastic. But then everything else he's done, the worst jobs in history. It's all about that. It talks about the great walks in England, ancient walks. He's done Great War. Gone through and done all these new 3D slides. What have been produced. Of images of the First World War, and it's so emotional. And he really buys into that. His trail across America was fantastic. Wanting to be a cowboy. There's all these things where everything he does. He just gives and delivers with 100%. And it's something like that which I like to do in my life. If you're going to do something, I suppose, like I mentioned my daddy, he always say, if you're going to do it, lad, make sure you do it right. Do it to the best of your abilities. If you fail, well, at least nobody can say you didn't try and do your best. So no matter whatever you do, just do your best. And you can't do no more.
Do it like Tony Robinson.
And do it like Tony bloody Robinson. Exactly. So I've got 2 knights and probably 2 who should be knights.
I love that. I loved Time Team. My parents used to watch it all the time, and it just used to blow my mind when he used to come on and be like, "Here's a tiny little bit of pottery. This is the reconstruction." I'm like, how do you know that from this small fragment? How do you know how the vase curves? You can't possibly know.
I've got a book.
Insane.
It tells me. I've got a book.
You've got a book that tells you what the vase look like.
That piece is like. That's how it goes.
Amazing. Do you know what? That is a fantastic dinner party. I think Hannah definitely wants an invite, but I reckon I'd go there as well. So, well done. And thank you so much for putting so much thought and effort into it as well. Before we let you go, we usually give all our guests a chance to do one final pitch for what they're here to tell us about. So here is your time to do it as a nice little elevator pitch. Why should people come see Haggard? And when is it on, actually? It's probably worthwhile saying that.
So it's just... for everybody out there who's been to and supported us putting plays on, you know what to expect. It's going to be a farce. It is going to be a rip-roaring comedy. So get yourselves there. Make sure you book. For those people who haven't been to see us before, get yourself there. It's going to be a rip-roaring comedy. You're going to have a scream. Don't think, I'm not doing that. I can't be bothered. It's a bit cold and snowy. Just try it. Just try it once. That's all you need to do. If you see the right play, no matter whatever play it is, you'll get the bug. You will enjoy it. You will laugh. And that's what life's all about. It's far too short to be serious. Just go out there and just let your hair down. It's only for a couple of hours. And it's not even going to pay you. You're going to have to spend anything, maybe a couple of quid on a raffle. Who knows? You might win. They might win, a raffle prize. God, that's even quids in for you all. Just go there, support your local community. And it doesn't matter if you want to come from Timbuktu. We'll still allow you in. We might not be able to translate, but it is a lot of it's visual, so you'll understand what's going on.
I'm coming from Grimsby, so...
you might struggle, Anna, I think, right there.
I don't speak Grimsby, but...
Well, thank you so much, Craig. Anyone who's wanting to come and see Haggard, there will be a link in the podcast where you can go in and book your tickets, and that is performing at Broughton Village Hall in North Lincolnshire on the 25th, 26th and 27th of November. Thanks very much for joining us, Craig.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Yeah, it's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. So there you go. I'll be back next week. Now I've got the bug.
That was fantastic to hear from Craig. It's really nice to be able to talk about that. We really wanted to talk about that because it was something different that we haven't spoken to before, but B, it's something that's not really well known about the world of Amdram and that kind of thing. And I couldn't really interview myself because that would be really weird. But Craig dutifully stepped up, and he was fantastic, wasn't he?
He was a lot of insight into the world of amateur dramatics, and again the importance of drama, performing arts in the curriculum, which we know inside out now, but really do still stand by that the kids now more than ever, after being locked away, definitely need to be developing these communication skills.
Absolutely, and I think it was nice and quite prevalent to hear from a guy in that world as well, because it's not something that you do necessarily, you associate quite a lot with women, just naturally anyway, and a lot of men are put off joining for that reason. So it was nice to hear from someone like Craig, who he's a sporty guy, he plays football himself, he loves that kind of thing, but he still also loves the arts. So it's the two aren't mutually exclusive. So it was quite nice to hear from as well. And actually, I think we might have spoken about before, but if you're a man and you do Amdram, then your lifespan in Amdram is much longer than that of a female anyway. Because it's just how it happens. You can get to the age of 50 or 60 and still be playing the leading man somehow. And
look at some of all the Oscars winners and actors and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I mean, wow, there's Richard Gere out there, there's Harrison Ford out there. How old are they now? And they are still smashing it.
Absolutely. So you still have that. So, it's any age really is good to get in here, but we don't, as a whole, Amdram centres would all agree with me that actually getting some younger males in is becoming more challenging, which is why the age 50, 60 is still going on, that you get sort of still to play the leading role. Not so much for women, bless us. We go through that interesting age in the Amdram, especially with the farces and the comedy, that you start off being like the quirky neighbour, and then you're maybe the mistress, and then you're the leading lady, and then you become a mum, and then you become a grandma, and then you're sort of it. That's it.
Pop.
That is a life cycle of the female. But for men, it's totally different. So it was really nice to hear from Craig on that aspect, to actually prove that there's a lot out there for guys as well, if you're interested in taking up that kind of thing. Because honestly, for me, such a well-being release to actually go there. I missed it desperately in lockdown, just being over dramatic all over the place because I had no release. Oh, it's me.
Oh, look at this toast. Oh no, the toast.
Consistently fainting on couches. Oh, I can't possibly today. So to have that back in my life again as that well-being release for me it's just been such a game changer. Words can't really describe what it means to me to do that kind of stuff. So forever grateful to Broughton Dramatic Society for letting me in their little gaggle. So yeah.
Is that the actual term? What is the collective term for a group of actors? A gaggle of actors? Is that the actual term?
I don't know.
Popped into my head. So listeners, if anybody knows, please do get in touch with us. What is the collective?
I quite like gaggle of actors, but I don't think it actually is. It's probably just like a group or a forum or a theatre or a collective.
Yeah, I want to know what Yeah, I think
Can you do that for different groups? I don't think that
it is.
Like obviously animals, you have it, but you don't have like a collective of doctors or.
There must be. There must. I'm going to Google it.
I don't know if that collective noun works for.
Is it not a troupe? A troupe of actors. Let me Google it. I'm going to Google it. Okay.
It's just going to give you lots of stuff. I think about.
It's a troupe. I was right. A troupe is a group of actors, singers, or dancers who work together and often travel around together, performing in different places. A troupe.
I think that'd be something I knew, wouldn't you? But now we've all learned something new together. So you can't say that you don't get anything out of these podcast listeners, because now you know the collective noun for actors, which is a troupe.
Yes.
So kudos. With that in mind, we will leave you this week tantalised with the excitement of what is to come at you next fortnight. So thanks very much for listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this with your friends. Share this with the people of Lincolnshire. And if you do want to join us, if you have something amazing going on in your county, in your area that you want to talk to us about and you want the rest of Lincolnshire to know, then get in touch. All you have to do is email marketing@lincolncityfoundation.co.uk. See you later.
Bye.